Tonight, it's American Airlines' turn to show us what they got for one of their trans-Pacific flights. We'll be flying from Tokyo to Dallas in Main Cabin Extra, American's step-up economy product. We'll also see how the largest airline in the world stacks up to some of the other trans-Pacific flights we've seen on this channel. Is Main Cabin Extra worth the extra cost? Come along and let's find out together.
Good afternoon and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to Haneda Airport Terminal 3. Well, we're getting close to the end of the year, but we still have time for a few more flights. And to start us off, we'll be flying with American Airlines on a flight from Tokyo to Dallas. And this is actually going to be my first time flying American on an international flight outside North America. So we'll see how their trans-Pacific product is and compare it to some of the other airlines which we've experienced on the channel. We'll be flying in economy class on one of their Dreamliners, and the flight is set to depart at 6 p.m. So come along, let's enjoy American Airlines as we go from A to B.
Alright, well, arriving to the airport, I headed to the kiosks at the I check-in area, which was being used by American. Earlier, I checked in online through the AA app. So by the time I arrived at the airport, I just had to drop off my bags, and the bag drop-off lane took no more than a few moments. I should point out that I was headed to Toronto, so at baggage drop-off I received an international to international sticker on my passport, which signified that I didn't have to collect and recheck my bag after US passport control. With the formalities out of the way, I figured it was a good idea to step outside for a few moments before heading through passport control on a pleasant early winter day. We even catch a Finnair Dreamliner. They have quite the interesting route due to the closed Russian airspace. And I recently found out that they were the first European airline to fly non-stop between Europe and Japan. Did their non-stop flight to Japan begin in 1979, 81, or 83? Leave your guess in the comments. Today we'll be departing from gate 145. It's one of these lower level gates which exist only on the east side of the terminal. Already waiting for us is our Dreamliner, which would take us to DFW. We still had some time to kill, and the good news is that gate 145 is not too far from the food court, so I figured I might as well. I went to the noodle outlet at the end and picked up a tsukemen dish, one of my favorite noodle dishes in Japan. It's very similar to ramen, with the main difference being the noodles and soup are separate, and you dip one in the other. There's a healthy serving of cold noodles alongside a warm broth with pork, nori, and green onions. A solid call, and I can't believe it took me all these years to try this place out. By the time I returned to the gate, boarding was well underway. And look who's beside us. Air Canada has since returned to using the 777s for their Toronto-Haneda route. That plane will beat me to my final destination by about 6 hours. So is a detour through America worth it? Stay tuned and find out. The only upgrade I purchased for this trip was Main Cabin Extra, which gave me Group 5 boarding. It appears that Americans value higher boarding zones a little bit more than we do north of the border. I really don't know why 9 boarding zones are necessary, but I digress. Today we'll be in seat 20J, an aisle seat on the emergency row, which is dedicated to Main Cabin Extra passengers. Passengers in this row can take advantage of the dedicated overhead storage bins as well. Tonight we're on an almost 4-year-old 787-8 Dreamliner. American has one configuration of this aircraft with 234 seats across 3 cabins. Main Cabin Extra and Main Cabin seats are in the same cabin but marketed as different products. There are 7 lavatories on board, and it's important to note that there are none at the rear of the aircraft. It will take about 10.5 hours to reach Dallas, and we'll be staying well south of Alaska as we cross the Pacific. The economy cabin is laid out in a 3-3-3 seating configuration. Bulkhead monitors provide flight information and messages throughout the flight. The cabin had a healthy blue glow during the start of the flight, and warm orange and reds towards the end. Main Cabin Extra are rows 10, 11, and 20, along with the center seats of rows 12 through 18. So if you are after a window seat, and Main Cabin Extra, you are limited to 6 possible options on the Dash 8 Dreamliner. The seats were quite comfortable with an adjustable headrest. A pillow and blanket were provided for guests, which was advantageous as I thought they kept the cabin on the very chilly side. Of course, one benefit of the emergency row is the unlimited legroom at your disposal, and you don't have to worry about others in your row passing you when they want to get out. On the other hand, no luggage can be stored on the floor during taxi takeoff and landing, so the dedicated bins come in especially handy for the emergency row passengers. With no lavatories at the rear of the plane, this area was highly trafficked, perhaps more than other Dreamliners, particularly after the meal service, so I wouldn't recommend the aisle seat of the emergency row. The seats are slightly different than the rest of the cabin, housing a control panel on the one side. The IFE system pulls out from under the armrest, and you have to depress the tab to release it, which took a few moments to spot in the dim cabin. On my return trip, I was in 17D, which I think is a better illustration of what you'd get with Main Cabin Extra. The seatback has a large adjustable display. The literature pocket, which contained the safety card, was just below, with a table and pocket under that. You'll find the power outlet at the base, and the seat pitch is 35 to 36 inches, about 5 inches more than main cabin seats, and the extra bit of space is quite welcomed on these long-haul flights. With the table extended, you can really get a sense of the extra space. To compare, you can see how the table meets the armrest in the regular main cabin seats over there. Overall, I was pleased with the seat more than the emergency exit row, and I thought the extra space was worth the added cost for Main Cabin Extra on these long-haul flights. Wi-Fi is offered on the Dreamliners and is available for purchase. At $23 about 30 Canadian for the full flight, it's in line with what I've seen on other airlines. With the AA app, you can also stream videos to your device, which is useful if you have your own Bluetooth headphones. The app is pretty extensive and worth downloading for your trip. It even has a tracker bag feature which provides peace of mind, especially if you have connections. And as always, I take a moment to welcome new viewers to subscribe for continued travel and aviation-related content. About an hour after takeoff, the dinner service commenced. The service started with a warm oshibori. Nice touch. The options were pork and rice or a shrimp pasta, and I went with the pork and rice, which was a solid call. It came with a salad, a spinach side, and a lemon cake, and bonus points for providing a warm bun. Everything was delicious, and it was no chore finishing every last bite. To accompany the meal, I enjoyed a Goose Island IPA, so cheers to another flight. Ooh, fresh. The IFE system on American is smooth and easy to operate. They have a very extensive library in which to choose something to watch. One difference compared to domestic flights is that there is no live TV available even when the plane is over the US. Also, one thing I think missing from the IFE system is a menu tab for the onboard service. Many other airlines have this feature, and I think it greatly benefits the guest. And here's a look inside the lavatory closest to my seat. Considering there are no lavatories in the rear of the plane, they were kept quite clean throughout the flight despite being heavily used. Don't let the darkness fool you. It's early afternoon outside and plenty bright. Perfect time for breakfast, which was served with the last hour to go. The options were French toast, or udon. The hot meal was accompanied by some fresh fruit. I wasn't particularly fond of the French toast. I thought it was on the dry side and no amount of syrup was going to save it. But I did manage to have a coffee with my breakfast, or lunch, or whatever you want to call this early afternoon meal. Overall, this was a pleasant way to cross the Pacific. The staff were kind and friendly, there was good entertainment, and an abundance of food, snacks, and drinks. The flight was one of 5 on a round-trip ticket from Tokyo to Toronto, and the price came out to $1,368, which includes the $230 upgrade to Main Cabin Extra. I thought the added cost of Main Cabin Extra was worth it, considering it was spread out over 5 flights. We also offset 613 tons of carbon for this flight. Landing in Dallas, the passport control was much faster and better organized than when I flew through Chicago a year ago. There's a dedicated line for US and Canadian passport holders, which sped things up a bit. The ITI sticker on my passport did its job, and my bag was checked onto my next flight without me having to collect it at the carousel. So as a Canadian, would I fly them again? Well, it depends. There is added time to your trip when transferring through the States and another set of passport control. But the flight was about $400 cheaper compared to Air Canada. American is the largest airline in the world, and they simply have the size to provide a competitive price and times. So, if the price is right, I'd fly them again, though I tried to snag a code-shared flight with Zhao through the American website, like I did last year. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about the American Airlines Trans-Pacific product, and I'll catch you in the next episode.